Alrighty, here we are. It is December 20th. Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker released just yesterday. I don't know if you guys caught my spoilers review and my official reaction, but it is up if you guys want to go ahead and check it out. I put it up yesterday. I expressed my honest, feelings, my honest thoughts about it. And today I wanted to go over my best and worst scenes, at least in my opinion, for The Rise of Skywalker. This is Mike Zeroh. Make sure to subscribe if you're new to the channel for future Star Wars content. Now, one thing about Episode 9 here is that there's no doubt about it that this movie felt very rushed and convoluted and really felt like multiple movies in one. That's the best way I could personally really describe this movie in a very fast way without going too far into things. But I want to go over the best scenes and the worst scenes in my opinion. Keep in mind that this is just my opinion. You guys have the freedom to disagree or agree with me in the comments below. Express your reactions to my thoughts about this. So I wanted to go over my first best scene of The Rise of Skywalker is Han and Ben Solo's scene together on the wreckage of the second Death Star. Now, this is what inspires Ben Solo to completely let go of his Kylo Ren persona. Now, what I liked about this scene is that it was very emotional. It almost made me very teary-eyed. I don't know about you guys, but it did create quite, some emotions within me. They did a better job at this scene than how they treated the Han and Kylo Ren moment in The Force Awakens. And as Kylo Ren suggests, that he's just a memory. Ben Solo says, you're just a memory. And he's talking about how his mother's gone and how Han Solo tells Ben Solo of how, what your mother stood for and what she has done, that's not gone. All the dialogue was dead on, it was perfect, and Harrison Ford nailed it, let me say. In fact, I'll say this right now, is that Harrison Ford's acting in the movie, I believe, was better than how he did it in The Force Awakens. That's at least how I felt. Moving on to the next scene that I felt was really great in the movie was Palpatine's speech to the Sith loyalists, spectating Palpatine and chanting ancient Sith language to Sidious while Palpatine asks Rey to make the sacrifice. Now, the scene in particular was a throwback to Palpatine's speech in Revenge of the Sith, and it was so massive, in scale, when they showed all those Sith loyalists in their seats watching over Palpatine. Another scene that I really liked and enjoyed was Kylo Ren versus the Knights of Ren on the world of Exegol. Very fast-paced and choreographed. However, the only flaw about this is that the Knights of Ren are just wasted. The Knights of Ren are useless in this movie. They're killed way too fast. They have little to no screen time in the movie, and that's exactly how they were handled. So, though it was one of my favorite scenes, it does have a flaw. Now, Palpatine's entrance at the very beginning of the movie, another one of my favorite scenes in the film, is when Kylo meets Sidious inside of the Sith sanctuary and Kylo Ren slaughtering the clan member to obtain Darth Vader's Wayfinder device. And let's not forget the lightsaber fight on the ocean moon of Kef Bir on the second Death Star wreckage between Kylo Ren and Rey. I personally believe it's a better duel than that of The Force Awakens, and that's just me. Palpatine rejuvenating himself by using both Rey and Kylo as a dyad to drain their Force energy. Very interesting scene. Watching him, his fingers grow back, watching his eyes return to the normal Sith eyes was a very interesting transition. Luke's Force Ghost lifting the X-Wing out of the water from Ahch-To was also a beautiful callback to, of course, The Empire Strikes Back when Yoda lifts it out of the ground, and even the Force Ghosts reaching out to Rey. Now, the Force Ghosts that reach out to Rey consist of Qui-Gon, Mace Windu, Ahsoka Tano, Luke Skywalker, Anakin Skywalker, and a lot more. Now, I want to go over a handful of the worst scenes, in my opinion at least. Now, the worst scenes for me, for one, was Palpatine's death by the hands of Rey when she deflects the lightning back at Sidious, disintegrating him into nothing and Rey becoming the Chosen One once and for all. Now, the reason as to why I really dislike this scene, in fact, I really did not like this scene too much at all, really, is because you would think that Palpatine, an individual who has over 100 years worth of Sith training, would know better to at least maybe stop shooting Force Lightning and to prevent the Force Lightning from getting, redirected back at him into destroying himself, by his own power. You would think that at one point in time, Palpatine would stop using his power. So to me, it didn't really make all that much sense, because essentially what Palpatine did here is that he got the Mace Windu treatment in reverse, where essentially it's like a what-if scenario if he was killed by Mace Windu in Revenge of the Sith. That's exactly what we got here with Rey. So I didn't like how he died. I felt it was very poor and weak, in my opinion at least. That's just how I feel. That's just my opinion. If you guys disagree, that's fine, but that's just how I felt. Now, another scene that I really did not like in this movie is Rey calling herself a Skywalker at the end of the film and taking the Skywalker name. Again, like I say, I mean, when we look at this movie, the entire movie is titled The Rise of Skywalker. And it's almost like the title in itself is making the fans think the movie is different or has a different meaning or is more geared toward Luke or Anakin or somebody associated with the Skywalker bloodline, right? But in reality, it all has to do with Rey. Now, of course, you could say, alright, Palpatine called, Ben Solo the last Skywalker, how he says, just like I fell, so will the last Skywalker, and he flicks him into the pit. You could consider that once Ben Solo climbs out of the cave, or should I say the pit, it's almost like the rise of Skywalker, kind of like how, when you think back to the Batman movie, The Dark Knight Rises, it's all because Bruce Wayne is able to climb out of the pit. It's almost like that in a way. So I guess you could look at it as two different meanings, but there's no doubt about it that the main reason as to why it's called The Rise of Skywalker has all to do with Rey. Another scene that I really hated in the film was General Hux' scene with Finn and Poe, revealing that he is the mole, that he is the spy. I felt like the dialogue was very off, how he says, I am the spy. It just felt a little comedic to me, and just felt a little odd, how Poe Dameron says, oh, I knew it. It just didn't really feel right, and that was another plot that really went nowhere, and seemed to be a wasted side story, about the whole mole in the First Order. There was really nothing more to it than just acknowledging that there was a mole in the First Order, and it really didn't go anywhere. So that was one of my other scenes that I really disliked in this movie, was General Hux, telling Finn and Poe, revealing that he is the mole. Some of the scenes on Pasaana, one example is such as Rey healing the worm and them going through the wormhole underneath the ground, felt way too long to me. Yes, I get it, it's kind of like a parallel to when both Han, Leia, and Luke are stuck inside the trash compactor. It was almost like that because we have our heroes trapped in the quicksand, and they're pretty much getting thrown down into the, the very depths of Pasaana, where they have to deal with the creature. Same exact scenario as Star Wars A New Hope, right? Very similar scenario. So I do respect that J.J. Abrams tried to create a parallel there. I just felt it was too long. There were a lot of things with Ochi's ship that could have been shortened, and everything related to their side quest of Ochi's ship really could have been a little bit shorter, like I say. But that's just a handful of my favorite scenes and the worst scenes in my opinion. Again, this is just my opinion. This is not fact. Obviously, everyone's going to have a different idea or an opinion on how they feel about these scenes, and that's just exactly how I felt. Like I say, it has its emotional highs, and it also has its worst moments. Palpatine's death was unacceptable to me. Rey calling herself a Skywalker, I just wish that they could have done something different with the meaning of the title of the movie to be more directed at maybe Luke or Anakin. You guys may recall that a lot of reshoots were done during the months of August, September, and October. Originally, the meaning of this title was that Luke Skywalker was originally going to come back to life temporarily to actually fight alongside both Ben and Rey to go up against Darth Sidious. That, to me, would have been a far better meaning to the Rise of Skywalker. Basically Luke coming back to life temporarily as originally planned before all the reshoots happened for this movie, where 30% of the film was reshot. So I just wanted to lay out a couple of my best and worst scenes that I thought of, and I would like to know if you guys agree or disagree with me on this. Again, this is not me hating on the film entirely, nor is this me praising the film entirely. I actually had a lot of issues with the film, but I also loved a lot of parts about this movie. It's a very hard thing to deal with The Rise of Skywalker. It is an emotional roller coaster for me, as I stated in my reaction video. So anyways, guys, drop a comment below. Let me know what you think about all of this in the comments. And if you guys did enjoy the content for today, do make sure to drop a thumbs up on this video to support the channel. I thank you all so very much for the kind support, and I'll catch you guys next time.
Gun in hand, we are alone again. No, I'm not the one. From night to moon.